Oh, thank you so much. The honors just keep on rolling. This is a league where one moment the opponent, you're doing battle, the next moment he becomes your teammate, then he's your roommate, and then he becomes one of the best friends you've ever had. And that's why it's so special that John Helton presented that ring to me. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Now I have to tell you another Helton story. It happened last night. You probably heard about Andy Rooney's Things I've Learned email that went around, and one of it was, things I've learned. I've learned that when life throws really serious moments at you, isn't it nice to have a friend that you can act goofy with? Well, last night, TSN was on the sidelines doing interviews with all the players, and I had a chance to step forward. It was my turn in the limelight for just a second. So there it was. There was a nice reporter doing an interview with me, asking some great questions. And there's the camera. And who do I see behind the camera trying to distract me, trying to get me off my game? It's John Helton walking back and forth behind the camera doing the chicken. Thanks, buddy. It didn't work. I kept my head up the whole time. Anyway, you know, this is an incredible moment. I knew this was going to be a special evening. I mean, we've had months to prepare for it. But I don't think you can prepare for what it's like when you finally get up here. You know, watching that highlight film and seeing some of the incredible moments with our years with Hamilton, and especially the 18 years that we spent in Winnipeg with an outstanding Blue Bomber organization. Great coaches, terrific players, their families that became our families, and so many good friends. To this moment right now, standing on the same stage with some of the greatest players that have ever played this game, well, I'm truly humbled and very honored. Guys, thanks so much for welcoming us into your family. To my fellow inductees, Michael, Doug, and Mike, guys, you are among the most exciting players that have ever played this game. And I want to tell you to your faces, they're all here in the room, it would have been an honor to have been your teammates. Tom, you know you hold a special place in my heart. We've talked about this in the last couple of days. Tom represents that group of individuals that rarely gets the accolades. They work behind the scenes, but they are so integral to us, the players, having an opportunity to play. And Tom, commend you on all the work you've done. You represent so many people at so many different levels of sport, at every sport, that provide the opportunity for us players. Thank you. I grew up in Hamilton, Ontario, only about 7 blocks from where the stadium is today. I sold hot dogs in the stadium as a kid at the age of 12. Didn't do very well. I was busy daydreaming about what it must be like to be a Hamilton Tiger Cat. You know, that was probably the biggest thrill in my life, just dreaming about that. Well, I had that opportunity, you know, as a young kid, and it came to fruition. It came to fruition because of the efforts of people like my high school coach, Fred Jasvac. He's here tonight. But there are other people in my life. You know, I grew up in a family that was basically economically disadvantaged. You know, my dad had a very serious industrial accident when I was a kid. He couldn't work for many years, so Mom had to work a couple of jobs sometimes just to make ends meet. But you know what? My dad, despite all that, he almost lost his leg, had his hips crushed, and he had stomach problems his entire life. He knew he had to provide for his family, so he did whatever it took. And I remember my dad getting up every morning once he started back at work. Every morning he'd get up at 6 o'clock, went to work on a bus, and he did that until he retired at the age of 65. He knew he had to provide for his family. So in my home growing up, my parents were great examples of people that worked hard, and they taught us the hard work ethic and taught us also that you can overcome what seems sometimes to be insurmountable odds if you just persevere. So my parents were great examples. The other thing I remember growing up at home, every night when I went to bed, I could hear my mother from her bedroom as she prayed. You know, she prayed that God would look after us, keep us healthy and safe. But despite the fact that we didn't think we had much growing up, every night I could hear my mom pray and thank God for the things we did have in our lives. So she kind of set the tone for me, and she gave me that example of the attitude of gratitude. And I'm so grateful today for a loving and caring family, so many of them are here today. I'm so grateful to the hundreds of people that have had a positive effect on my life and my career and in my personal life. who share this honor with me tonight. I'm so grateful to the Canadian Football League, to the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and especially the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for giving me the opportunity to play for as long as I had. I'm grateful to Mark DeNoble and all the effort he's put in this week to make this such a special time for us. You know, I started talking about Fred. I started my career playing high school football at Delta Secondary, where there were some great, got some Delta Secondary people here, great. You know, there were some great sport families back then, the Porter kids, the Lavery kids, and three of my best buddies played football with me. Dominic Palmieri, Pat Spiziali, and Gary Robinson. You know, they're all here tonight. Thanks for being here and honoring this special night with Christine and I. Thank you so much. But you know what? We were also fortunate to have a guy like Fred Jasvac. Fred knew a lot about the game of football. He was a good technician. He taught us technique, but he taught us more about life. Fred was a mentor. And Fred, I thank you so much for all you've done for so many people. Not only did he win championships at Delta, but he won the provincial champion of the Canadian champions for the Hamilton Hurricanes the same year that the Tiger Cats in 1972 won their Grey Cup. So he's had success at every level. Thank you so much, Fred. Fred then, after high school, handed me off to Bernie Custis, Hall of Famer. And Bernie, you've worked with so many people. There's a couple of your students right here, and Tony Gabriel and Peter Della Riva, guys that you've worked for. Where are you, Bernie? There you are. And Bernie just continued that mentorship, and he's done that for so many people. Thank you, Bernie, for what you've done for the game of football. You know, I've been fortunate all my life to have wonderful people around me. Been fortunate in my working career, been fortunate in my personal career. My family's here, and I want to recognize them tonight. Thank you to my sister-in-laws, my brother-in-laws, my nieces, my nephews, my cousins, and my brother, Nick, who's here. So Nick used to fight my battles when I was a kid, and then I turned 8. And he no longer had to do that. Thank you, brother. You know, I had a great opportunity in my career to play football. I went to Winnipeg. I picked up by Winnipeg, you know, after I left Hamilton here. And the mentorship continued at that level. And I was so fortunate that 3 men who were so responsible for continuing to work with me to help me understand the game better. 3 men that had a positive attitude and a positive influence on me in Winnipeg were Bob Swift, our center at the time. Bob Swift took me aside one day and said, never think that you're so good that you can't find a way to get better. He said, always work on your game, work on being faster, work on being stronger. Become a student of the game and understand the game, not only from your position, but understand the offense, understand the defense. Become a student of the game and watch, Doug will know this, watch more film on your opponent than he'll ever watch on you. That was so key. These were men that really understood the game because they'd played for a long time. Bill Frank was our offensive tackle, and Billy was inducted here not too long ago. Bill Frank, guys hated to practice against him because he was so intense. Eh, Bob? He was the most intense player in the game, and he practiced like he played, and he taught me the importance of working hard in practice. And Chuck Liebrock was our guard. And Chuck, he taught me the importance of working hard in the off season. No longer could you show up to training camp and expect training camp and preseason to get you in shape. You better be in the best shape possible when you show up for camp, because there's going to be 2 or 3 guys lined up behind you ready to challenge you for position. So every year at the end of our season, we took 1 month off to heal, back in the gym again in January. It was an 11-month per year career for us. So these men were among the toughest, most respected offensive linemen in the league. But more importantly, they were all men of faith. And they continued to reinforce in me the importance of trusting God in everything that I did in my life. They had that much of a powerful effect on me. So, you know, I come back home and I've got the support of my family here. I want to thank them. I want to thank so many of the people that have been an influence in my life for just being instrumental and being there when we needed them. And, you know, football has afforded me the opportunity to coach. When I came back to Hamilton, I had the chance to coach with some great athletes. You know, I think Damon Allen is here, an incredible athlete. So many of the individuals that worked with the Hamilton Football Club were great community-minded individuals as well. Lee Knight, Dale Sanderson, Daryl Harley, Richard Nurse. They're all so integral in their communities, and it was a privilege to work with these gentlemen. I even had the opportunity to work with my son, Jesse. He was a ball boy when we were playing at every home game. And we had a little routine going at, before the game, you know, you bring players out, you get them warmed up. And then Jesse would get his towels and his water already on the sidelines. And when he saw that I sent my players in to get ready for the game, Jesse would grab a ball off the sidelines, run over to the 20-yard line. I'd meet him at the 20-yard line. He'd toss the ball to me. He'd get into his typical wide receiver stance and kind of just stand there, right? And I'd give him a little go. He'd run a post pattern into the end zone. I had to throw it between the crossbars every time, and he caught every ball I threw. Then he'd run back, toss me the ball, give me a high five, and say, "Good luck, Pops." You know, that's a Kodak cardiac moment, you know, one of those pictures that will be emblazoned on your heart forever. So it was so special. I saved the best for last. My wife, Christine, she said, "Don't make me cry tonight. I'm wearing mascara." But she truly is my gift from God. She's done everything to support everything I've done in my life. She's my best friend. Oh, there she goes. A great cook. And you know, that's important to us offensive linemen. I think John Salavana said it best today. He said, someone asked him about John Bonk. "What can you tell me about John Bonk?" He said, well, he was a linebacker that was traded to Winnipeg. The offensive line introduced him to the buffet line, and he ate himself into an offensive line position. That's how you do it. Anyway, it's been my privilege to play in this Canadian Football League, and I guess it goes to show that it doesn't matter what your background is, what your economical status is. Economical status, is that proper English, Bob? Or what your educational level is. If you have a passion for something and you couple that with a desire to work hard, and if you trust God in what you do, you can do just about anything. I'm so proud to have been a Canadian Football League player. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for this honor. Thank you.